Financial markets are currently pricing in a severe physical bottleneck for the artificial intelligence rollout, while the public conversation remains focused almost entirely on software and chip supply. This graphic compares market expectations against national narratives. The red bar shows a 64% probability of a Maryland electricity price hike, 14 points above the public assumption. The immediate consequence? Look bottom left. Wholesale capacity clearing prices surged 1,000% across recent grid auctions. This is the physical reality underneath the AI thesis. The system isn't waiting on code to compile, it is waiting on copper, turbines, and transformers that are pushed to their absolute material limits. As you watch this strain compound, you might feel a spike of anxiety about your own vulnerability to it. You cannot reach out and cut the power lines feeding a data center, but you can choose where you stand in relation to the incoming data. The impending rate shock is locked in. The only variable you actually control is your psychological preparation for the moment it arrives. The grid operates in a strict feedback loop. Unyielding power demand from artificial intelligence facilities drives up costs, which accelerates the strain on existing infrastructure, creating a cycle that feeds entirely on physical limits. Three distinct forces are accelerating this cycle. The first sits with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. By implementing co-location frameworks, regulators have opened pathways for data centers to access power directly from existing generation, leaving the broader grid starving for capacity. The second force is pure speed. Tech companies are constructing massive data centers much faster than utilities can site and build new power plants to support them. The third force is a broken supply chain. Utility companies face multi-year lead times simply to acquire basic switchgear and the transformers required to route the electricity. Systems placed under this kind of extreme pressure survive by adapting their rules. Institutions treat rigid legal boundaries as tunable parameters, shifting them slightly to keep the system functioning. When the environment becomes this volatile, holding on to a rigid internal reaction, like a fixed expectation of low prices or a constant state of panic, becomes a liability. Just as regulators are turning fixed rules into flexible variables to keep the power flowing, you can learn to treat your own anxiety as a sliding scale that you have the power to adjust. Institutions are already trying to halt this runaway feedback loop before it crushes household budgets. They are installing systemic breakers. A 13-state governors coalition has formed to force the issue, aggressively demanding that data center operators bear the immense costs of expanding the grid, rather than passing that burden down to local residents. This infographic illustrates the regulatory response. In the center, the $27 billion ratepayer shield caps public costs, but this shield faces a collision point, the PJM auction. Notice the calendar graphic. June 30 is the load-bearing date, dictating the reality for 67 million residents. On June 30, the theoretical stress of the auction results translates into a concrete number appearing in your home. From here, the grid's timeline splits. If the top path holds, long-term contracts advance, the price collar works, and the market successfully absorbs the hidden infrastructure costs. If the bottom path occurs, the market fractures under the massive electrical load, state coalitions collapse, and staggering rate hikes pass straight to the consumer. Here is the truth. You have absolutely zero influence over PJM executives, FERC regulations, or the clearing price of that June auction. So do not exhaust yourself fighting the electric bill's arrival. When the auction news breaks, let it happen. Take your fear of a macroeconomic rate shock and substitute it with the quiet observation of your own reaction. Watch the anxiety rise, acknowledge the numbers, and let the panic pass without acting on it. Ultimate agency comes from exercising absolute, unbroken control over your relationship to the bill, rather than trying